Hey guys, thanks for joining me, and if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Sharp Ends. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about the CME, which is made by OCD4EDC. The CME is compression made easy. The compression lock is a lock made famous by Spyderco, and it's used on a lot of their most popular models, including the Paramilitary 2, the Paramilitary 3, which is not shown, and the Shaman, and a couple of other knives too. So the compression lock here, when you push this in right here, it unlocks it. It's a very good lock, very strong. It engages the back of the knife, and it's not going to go anywhere or break. Activating it isn't that really that big of a deal. But once I tried the CME, I realized what a game changer it was. I mean, this is a great lock, don't get me wrong. But you have to kind of, reach inside here. There's a little, I mean, if you have really big fingers, it might be hard for you. Or not, I don't know. But anyway, what the CME does is it adds a little pad right there. And these are American made in-house by the guy who runs it. Check out OCD4EDC's website. Put that right over here. Some free advertising for him. And it's just this little pad right here. This is black micarta. He has other specialty materials, including ones that glow and just a lot of other stuff. This looks a little white right now because of the, it's just been cut and milled out, right? And you'll see that it's very small, and it's got this little ridge right here. This one happens to be the one for the Spyderco 2, or the Paramilitary 2, and it's going to go right there. So I'm going to show you how to install these real fast. First off, it's essential that you have a piece of sandpaper. That's basically the only thing he doesn't send in the kit. I think it's really important to go ahead and rub some sandpaper very lightly. And this, I believe, is 220 sandpaper grit. And if you don't know, the larger the grit number, the finer the sandpaper. So 50 grit is really rough, and 250 is or 220 is a lot more fine. So I'm just going to very lightly sand. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm going to make sure the fit is okay. I'm just going to take a couple of the corners off of this. Sometimes what you can do if you're just going to take a little bit of the corners off is put it on the table and then just lightly rub it around. I'm going to try to not, though, do the face. I'm just doing the little corners where I can see some of the white coming out. Now, the rest of that whiteness will kind of go away, those layers, once I put a little bit of food-grade mineral oil on it. So now I've done that. And if you saw my customization part 2, you know that I kind of temporarily put a CME on here just to show you what I wanted, but it wasn't the right color. It was a green one. It's going to go right there. There's a couple of things I need to do first. First, I need to take one of the alcohol wipes that came in the package, and I need to clean not only the piece of metal that's going to be attached to, but also the part that's going to be glued on here. So I'm just cleaning this right now. Sorry if I keep doing things off camera. The setup I have right now is not what I really want. It's kind of, I've been kicked out of the garage and my table was taken away from me that I've been doing a lot of my videos on. So now I'm being really careful to clean this with alcohol. And then one of the things that can go wrong with this is that you end up attaching this in such a way that it's going to end up rubbing against the scale here. Like if I do it too tightly, it could rub against the scale, and that would be good. It actually needs to be a little bit off the scale. So what he says in his little instructions here is you use this little piece of paper, almost as like a little spacer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to curl this paper up a little bit, and I'm going to put it down here, and then that, and then I'm going to attach it and I'm going to put 3 to 4 drops on the back of the spacer of the CME, compression made easy, and then I'll put it here. And then you're supposed to wait basically 8 to 10 hours to let it dry. Now, super glue is supposed to dry really fast, but with this being a porous material in the CME, I can see why he would say, you know, let it wait for a little bit. And while we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my Shaman, which is CTS204P, really cool steel. Kind of just got this Shaman on a whim because it came up in a cool steel, carpenter steel, that I didn't have. And I'd always wanted to try one, but I had just been waiting. Really like this green too. So the thing about the Shaman CME is that because of this little tab right here, when it closes up, that tab actually comes here. So unlike the PM2, when it closes, that gets in the way of the CME. So there's a specially cut one for that, and I got a green one for this particular Shaman to match the scale color. Been toying with the idea of getting Ultim scales for the Shaman that I've seen going around, but I don't know. I really like these green scales. They're a little thick, but they're so ergonomic. I can't really imagine anything else really doing a good job like that. This green is not necessarily the green I thought I was getting. That is strange. I really thought I was getting more of a green color. This is more like an OD, and this is more like a Kelly. So, but these Shaman ones are hard to get, and they hadn't been in stock for a long time, so I'm just going to go ahead and use them anyway. I don't think it's the end of the world. Cool. So you'll see that it has this extra little nubbin removed from here, and that's to account for this little nubbin right there. So sanded that. I'm going to use my alcohol wipe over here. I'm going to use my alcohol wipe over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up my super glue. I actually have some other super glue packs open, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the one that he sent this time rather than the stuff that I have. And just need to open up this little tin part right here. I'm going to use my little gear tool. Came in my Weehaw watch, or Hoo-Hoo watchmaking kit. Put this back on. And then I need to have my spacer ready. So I think I will go ahead and do my Paramilitary 2 one first. So I'm going to put 3 or 4 drops on here. I've got my spacer right here to get it adjusted. Then I'm going to hold it on for about 30 seconds, remove it, and let it sit for 8 hours. So I'm going to make sure we get a goodly amount on the back side of this. And now I need to hold this here. You'll be surprised to learn that this is hard to do underneath a camera, I'm sure. All right, and then I'm just going to count. I'm going to pull up the paper just a little bit so that it doesn't get stuck to the super glue at the bottom, making sure that it's down there. I'm going to count to about 30 in my head here, and like that. Hey, do you know what they used to do before the invention of sandpaper? Well, they just roughed it. That's my bad dad joke for the day. Oh, I've got another good bad joke while we're waiting. When does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes apparent. And I'm going to pull that out. And then I'm just going to, all right, yeah, so it feels like it's going to be okay. I'm not going to touch it again now. I am going to put some mineral oil on this to get the sheen the right way, but that is going to match really nicely. And I'm just going to wait 8 hours, and then I'll come back and I'll test it out And you'll see that in this video too when I come back. All right, now I'm going to put a tab here. Now it's really important that you do this with the blade open, because you don't want to accidentally glue this nubbin to that nubbin that is on the Shaman's blade right here. Okay, and that's about it. And again, I'm going to take a piece of paper, just make sure it's not going to get in there. You might have heard me say this before on my last customization video, but super glue was invented and used in the armor for field wounds during World War II, basically to hold dramatic wounds together so they could get them to a field hospital. So this isn't a permanent thing. I should just say that right off the bat. This is a temporary, and then I'm just going to close this and make sure that I haven't, that the knife will close all the way and that the nubbin is engaging the right part. Because if I did this incorrectly, and it looks like it's going to work. Great, so I put it the right place, but I'm not gonna mess with it too much because I just want that to fully heal. So so let's say tomorrow I come back and I look at this and I say, oh my gosh, it is in the wrong place. Well, super glue deactivates with heat. So the easiest way to do it is to take the scales off. You do have to open it up to get to the liner, and then take an iron or a soldering iron or something like that, or even a hair blow dryer, and heat up the metal on the one side carefully, and then this will just pop right off. I've had these fail and come off, but that's because I wasn't letting them fully cure for the recommended 8 to 10 hours before I started really playing with it and using it, okay? So there you go. Again, this is made by OCD4EDC, which, by the way, is an awesome name. His packages always come in these nice little nylon packs, and usually with candy as well. And comes with the alcohol wipe and a pack of super glue. So yeah, it's a great value. Now these cost about $30. Depending on the material you get, they can cost anywhere from $30 going on up if it's a special material, which you might say to yourself, that is a lot of money for just a very small little piece. But it makes this as an in-house in the United States, and no one else is making them. You could try to make it yourself, but you'd end up spending a lot more money just with the materials of getting the micarta and the glue and everything like that. In the end, I think it's a fair deal. And does it give you $30 worth of pleasure using it? I think it does. And when I demonstrate that tomorrow, and this will be just here in a minute, I'll go to bed and then I'll continue recording tomorrow, you will see that this just makes it a lot easier to use, because now the profile, you're pushing the button right here and you're not kind of reaching inside the scale. So I think it's definitely worth that $30. And you know, it looks nice. It fits really nice. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to start recording again, and we'll see how these turned out. And I'm back. Okay. So we're going to take a look at this, see how they did. This Shaman still needs to break in a little bit, but yeah, that works. Works good. Works well, sorry, all you English teachers. Yeah, so now I'm going to put a little bit of mineral oil on this micarta just to make it a little bit of a deeper color. Especially up here on top. This white will disappear when I put a little bit of mineral oil on it. I'll show you that in a second. And yeah, so, you know, it just adds that little bit. It just makes it more flush with the scale itself, therefore making it much easier to push in. You're not really reaching into a little hole or divot. It just makes it that much easier to close. And I think it really works. So, you know, it's a great idea. I really think it's well executed, and I think it's worth the money, depending on what material you get. And he's got lots of different options to match your different Spydercos. Okay, so I'm just going to pause this right now. Be right back. All right, so I got my mineral oil, food grade. Now I'm going to, I'm just going to use my finger. I'm going to be a Philistine here and just take a little drop on my finger, and here you can see it, and see the color change. It happens. It becomes a lot much more rich, darker color. There we go. I did not do this before I put it on because I did not want the oil to get and to any way mess up the bond of the super glue to the steel. I have had these fail in the past as far as like come off of the stainless steel, but that's because people have I've given it to other people and they've tried to push down on it and they've snapped it off and they put a lot of force on it, or you know, I didn't let it dry long enough. I didn't give it that 24 hours that he suggests, or that, I'm sorry, not 24. I think he suggests 8 hours. So basically overnight. And yeah, now this black is, and that'll soak in there and become a little more matte and not so satin finish or gloss finish over the next hour or two. And there, yeah. Doesn't that look nice? I think that looks great. And while I have this out, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of mineral oil on my DLC coating here. I'll let it sit in on this DLC for just a little bit. It helps protect it, and it makes the black look nicer. And then I'll clean that off with a rag. It's also good to use the mineral oil on your DLC stuff. Once it's been a user for a while, it will help hide any scratches or damage to it. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and, since I'm doing this, just add a little bit of this to this carpenter steel too. Can't hurt. And then I'll clean it off, and it'll have just a little extra protection against corrosion. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today on Sharp Ends. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. If you did not like what you saw today, please tell an enemy. But whatever you do, please tell someone. And I will see you next time on Sharp Ends.